Bryce is really good at this.
Oh my gosh, Henry Cavill, I was going to ask you.
Too
So
late.
do you want me to just...
Please.
Do it,
Shall I
do
ask
it.
the
Yeah,
next
no, go. Get him.
Really become who I am today. 7 years later, I'm still doing this, meeting more Hollywood stars.
That's very beautiful.
I really wanted to say thank you, Shruti.
That means the world to me. Thank you so much for this interview and your work, and I hope to get to work with you many, many, many times in the future.
반갑습니다. 이승국입니다. 킹스맨 감독 매튜 본의 신작 아가일의 개봉을 기념해서 감사하게도 작품의 주연 배우들을 만나 대화를 나눌 수 있는 시간을 가졌습니다. 그럼 바로 시작해 볼까요? 셋, 둘, 하나.
In the great era of sequels, prequels, spin-offs, remakes, and reboots, it's always great to see an original movie coming out, and Argyle is one of those original stories in town. And what's better for me is through that movie, I get to meet the stars in the movie. Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Sam Rockwell. It's a great pleasure to meet you all. Nice to see you.
Very nice to
Wonderful
see you.
See
Good to see you
It's
too.
so good to see you.
As far as I'm concerned, I know that this is the first country you visit for the promotional tour. So how's Korea treating you so far?
It's been
It's the
fantastic.
best.
Yeah.
I had
Amazing.
cake for breakfast.
Really?
It's my daughter's birthday today. It's her 12th birthday. We were greeted this morning with cakes. And so I don't want to leave Korea, basically. It's been beautiful. And the people have been so wonderful. It's awesome.
That's great. I hope that great experience will last until you leave the Korea. And we're talking about the movie Argyle. And we have to accept the fact that some of the viewers who watch this video through YouTube might not have seen the trailer of this movie yet. So instead of me just putting the trailer for my video, if I have to ask you, one of you, to briefly give the introduction to the movie, whom should I ask for it?
Bryce is really good at this.
Oh my gosh, Henry Cavill, I was going to ask you.
Too
So
late.
do you want me to describe the trailer or what this movie is?
It's up to you. If there's a viewer who haven't heard about the movie yet,
Yes.
what would you say to them?
Okay, what I would say is that what is so fun about this movie is it's directed by Matthew Vaughn. And Matthew Vaughn is an expert at making spy films.
True.
And not just any kind of a spy film, the most aggressively entertaining, fun, brilliant, high body count, sensational spy films. And in his career, he's kind of created an idealized version of a spy.
True.
And so sort of what this movie is about is Argyle, you know, the character of Argyle, played by Henry Cavill, who plays the perfect spy, the idealized version of a spy. I play an author, a writer, and I've actually created the character of Argyle,
Yeah.
which is a huge success.
Yeah.
And in her journey of trying to complete the book, she ends up encountering this gentleman here, who she learns is actually a real spy. And what is so fun about this movie is it's really the joy of that juxtaposition of a real grounded spy world, which Matthew also really deeply understands, against this sort of more like fictional fantasy world. And it's just an absolute blast, and there are twists and turns like you could never imagine. And there's a cat. And
Yeah.
the cat steals the entire movie.
Yeah, the very existence of that cat is really, really exciting. And thank you for the great introduction. Let me tell you what I'm just gonna do. I'll just get the footage from the trailer and put it on what you just said. It will make the trailer even better.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, thank you for the
Yeah.
great introduction.
Oh, thank you.
I noticed that
your turn.
I noticed that the introduction is really rooted on the trailer. And I remember Matthew Vaughn said in an interview that the trailer, official trailer of this movie, Argyle, mainly contains only the first 20 minutes of the movie. And I actually watched the movie the other night. And like Matthew said, and like you said, it's much, much more than what we saw from the trailer. So I could only imagine how hard it would be for you to promote the movie without giving away too much of it.
Yeah.
So, Sam, how are you holding up?
Terrible. Absolutely dreadful. You mean as far as keeping secrets and stuff?
Yeah. And there are certain parts you cannot talk about during the promotion tour, right?
It's hard.
I quite like that though.
No, it's fun. It's fun to kind of hold the carrot.
Tease
yeah.
it, yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Henry? Any mistakes so far?
I don't.
Nope.
I hope not. I don't think so. But I quite like it being so much being a surprise for the movie still, and the trailer only having the first 20 minutes. In so many movies these days, you see the trailer and you've sort of seen the movie. It's just filling in the gaps now.
Yeah.
And I love that people are going into this. They know what the tone is, they know what the feeling is, so they know what kind of movie they're going to go watch.
Yeah.
But it's still a surprise.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that doesn't really happen anymore. And I love that.
Yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah, for me as an audience, I really like those traditional approach to the trailer. So now that we know what Argyle is all about, let's talk a little bit deeper about each characters, starting from you, Henry. Like Bryce said, your character is from a novel that Ellie Conway writes. And Matthew Vaughn also said he tried to subvert some old spy tropes with this movie.
Yeah.
Which means he needs some cliche-looking like elements in this movie. And your character is the perfect example of the fantasy we have for the old spy movie characters.
Yeah.
So to make this perfect spy figure, what kind of elements did you try to put into this character?
It's a tricky one to describe because again, there's stuff I don't want to trip up over. But it's, as you say, the idealized sort of fantastic version of a spy, and a lot of those tropes are all dialed up to 11. And so you have to not take yourself too seriously when doing it, while the character is taking himself seriously for it to make sense. And so it was just kind of following Matthew's cues and him saying, right, no, make it bigger or make it smaller, or this is supposed to be a fun bit, and so don't forget that. You're supposed to be almost winking at the audience.
Yeah.
And so it was really following his cues. I mean, much like a flat top. You have something like a flat top, it's so outrageous, but it makes sense. It creates an iconic silhouette, and it informs the audience of what the character is. You shouldn't take him seriously, even though he's taking himself seriously. And it leads you rather well into the rest of the story.
It's funny you mentioned the flat top yourself because I was going to ask you about it. I heard that Matthew was the one who made you do that, the look, and he said you have to trust him with that look.
Yeah.
So was it the trust from the beginning, 100% trust, or did you have any doubtful moment with your look during the movie?
Matthew's an easy person to trust. So
okay.
yeah, it was 100% trust for
That's
sure.
good. And I love the look of it, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Bryce, this movie archives many things, but it's basically Ellie Conway's journey into the real world of spy.
Yes.
And the interesting thing about your character is that she's just the most normal person comparing the character to the other characters.
Yes.
Of course, she's a best-selling author, but she has zero talent to be a spy, personality-wise.
Yes.
So she becomes a sort of eyes for the audience.
Yeah.
We see the world through her eyes, her feelings. But at the same time, she's the most gifted person in this universe because when she writes something for her novel, it actually happens. So there must be some somewhat charismatic or special elements to be shown through the movie with your acting. So bringing this special and not so special person onto the screen, what was focus for Ellie?
Oh my goodness, I love how you put all of that as well. I think that was really wonderful.
Thank you.
It's Ellie is definitely kind of represents the audience, and she's being taken on this ride that she never could have expected that she would be on. You know, she's a novelist who stays at home all day and hangs out with her cat, and she is perfectly happy, and her best friend is her mother, and that is it for her life as far as she's concerned.
Yeah.
And when she gets taken on this, you know, incredible kind of like globe-trotting adventure with Aiden Wilde, it certainly opens her eyes to the real spy world. What's fun though is that she is an amazing novelist, and everything that she does is impeccably researched. And my mom is a novelist, and research is a huge part of her process. And there's a lot of confidence that comes with that.
Yeah.
And so Ellie definitely has a formidable side to her. You know, she has an immense amount of intellect, an immense amount of passion and interest in this world. And then I think it's, you know, it kind of turns it upside down when she meets, you know, this incredibly scrappy, honest, incredible killer. You know, and so yeah, it's a wonderful journey for her, and like you said, I liken it to the journey that the audience gets to go on.
And talking about the characters, I have to ask about Aiden Wilde, your character.
Yes.
Comparing your character to the extreme fantasy character, your character is really rooted on the ground. He's the real life spy in this universe. And I'm sorry you guys, but personally, your character is my favorite one.
Oh,
I love Aiden Wild. So really, there is
Ditto.
something I really
Ditto.
enjoy about this character. Interesting thing about this character is that Matthew Vaughn himself said a real spy wouldn't be noticeable in a crowd. From the trailer and from the beginning, we see Aiden successfully does that. He blends into the crowd. But at the same time, because you're Sam Rockwell, because we know you, and because we know that you're the leading actors of this movie, every time you are in a frame, we cannot help but notice you that you are in the frame. So it seems quite a tricky thing to make a good balance between those two contradicting ideas, blend into the crowd, but standing out as a leading character.
that's very nice of you to say. That's very sweet of you to say. I had a great time doing this, but I think without the juxtaposition of Henry and Bryce as the foil, without that juxtaposition, I sort of can't rise to the occasion. In fact, I think it'll get squashed, Aiden Wild's arc, if we're not able to fence without that juxtaposition of, and the fight scenes are a good personification of that, because if his fighting style is different than mine, we complement each other. And the same thing on the train scene with Bryce. Bryce is letting me be, kooky and crazy because she's being the straight man there. So it really takes two to tango, And Matthew's, in general, he is poking fun at the spy genre in many ways. I mean, even my character, even though he's the real spy, is still stylized. I mean, his name is Aiden Wild. That's a stylized name, and the violence is stylized. So it's kind of real, and it's kind of fantasy. Even the real spy is kind of like, romantic, shall we say? So yeah.
But one thing that I do want to say, just about Sam and just having an actor like him in this movie and what it does. Oscar winner. It's no. There's an elite level of craft and mastery that Sam brings to all of his work.
All right, now I'm getting
And
uncomfortable.
no, I know, but just like relax for a second,
right,
because
right.
it's real, and it brings a gravitas to a character that is very light, and so it could have gotten silly. It could have gotten, the stakes could have gone.
True.
But in every single moment, Sam was riding that line, and there was not a false beat in his performance, and yet there were constant risks being taken. And so, it was thrilling to work with him.
Now that you mentioned so much good things about Sam, I was gonna ask my next question to Henry, but I'll just pursue making him more uncomfortable.
Do it.
Shall I ask the next
Yeah,
question?
go.
Really, honestly, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and Jojo Rabbit were my personal favorites of those years, really.
That's a nice. Yeah, thanks. I got lucky with those. Yeah,
Those were great movies.
Yeah, they got lucky
And
having you.
adding to that, for decades you gave us good movies and great characters in those movies. And
Thanks.
many Korean fans still see Justin Hammer from you because we loved
Yes.
I Am In 2 movie.
Yeah, where's the
so-
Justin Hammer doll? I've been waiting for the Justin Hammer doll.
Yeah.
We can arrange
Maybe
something.
they-
For me, like Bryce gracefully said about you, for me, you're kind of actor that give the instant credibility to the characters, whoever you play for the screen. However, with that glamorous resume, and even with the background that you had with boxing and breakdancing sometimes, for me, honestly, it was hard for me to imagine yourself throwing punches in Matthew Vaughn style action movies.
Yeah.
So, what
Me
was your
too.
first?
For me, it was hard for me to imagine.
Really? Then, what was your first reaction when you get the call from them, and how did you decide to jump into this special project?
Well, there was a point in the choreographing of the train scene where I was 53 years old at that time, and I had been told I worked with Daniel Craig on a movie called Cowboys and Aliens, and he advised me to be very careful and to remind me that I do have a stunt double. And in fact, I did go in there a little gung-ho, and at one point Henry kind of wisely, parentally, kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, "All right, let's take it easy there. It's a marathon, not a sprint, And Henry was right, and Daniel was right, and they've done a lot more of that. Henry and Daniel have done more of that kind of stuff. I've done a little bit of it, but this was a different realm of choreographed, stylized violence. It was no joke, and And not just getting like accidentally punched, or it's also just pulling muscles, and
Yeah.
Henry will tell you, and Bryce has done some of that stuff, and being physical is interesting on camera over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but it was fun. Yeah, I wouldn't call it boxing, and I wouldn't even call it breakdancing. I'd call it pretend both.
Sorry, I'm going to embarrass you again. So Sam is an athlete. He's a proper athlete. Like, we know that Henry is a proper athlete.
Well, we're all pretty athletic. You played rugby.
We love to be
Yeah.
physical. We love to be physical. But Sam had just finished playing Bob Fosse. And so all of his dance training, and not just his experience, not just kind of like his experience and talent that he's always had. There was a level of skill and refinement, and also connections within the dance community. And Matthew was really inspired by Sam and his abilities, and it definitely impacted all of the sequences within the movie. It wasn't written to be that way.
Really?
And
Is
so,
is there still a lot of dance in the movie? Because I've only seen the rough cut.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Henry and I did a lot of dancing that didn't end up in the movie, but it was a lot of fun to rehearse. There was a tap dancing sequence that I think Matthew struggled. He was definitely tempted to leave it in, but that it was ultimately,
I'm pretty sure if this movie makes it big hit, we'll get the behind the scenes of you guys dancing.
that would be cool.
Yeah.
We better.
Now that we mentioned your sporting abilities, we have to also mention your existence in many franchises. For our generation of moviegoers, you don't need a proper introduction, Harry, because your very existence helped a number of franchises to be born and to continue their legacy for the last decade.
Yep.
And after all those various journey, you chose this project to be your next step. But this movie doesn't have any popular source material, so not knowing how the general public would respond to this new idea of story and characters, what made you decide to jump into this project?
That's an easy one. Matthew Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn, he's a creator, and he's a great leader. He's a straight talker. He's wonderfully creative and very left of field and left of center, and so he's
Yeah.
a fun person to work with. And as I was saying to the guys yesterday, I've got to a stage in my career now where I've realized I want to be having fun, and that is key. And so regardless of IP or no IP, it's the people who I'm working with, and Matthew is a wonderful person to work with.
That's great. And as an audience, it's great to see that you have fun with the movie.
Yeah.
And my question for Bryce about your career is that when it comes to franchises, you're no stranger to big franchises. You were in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie, and you literally led 3 Jurassic World movies. And you, adding to that, also directed 4 episodes of great Star Wars TV series, 2 different series. And your performance as director was received really positively. So now that you expanded your career and role in this industry, both in front of and back of the camera, how did you enjoy making this movie, Argyle, as an actor?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, it was, for me, as just a curious, creative storyteller, I love the opportunity as an actor to go onto sets with filmmakers who are doing things that you almost don't even know how they're doing it. You watch the movie and you're like, how is that accomplished, And so as an actor, you can kind of, infiltrate and learn all those trade secrets, and then hopefully, apply them to your own work. And like what Henry said, Matthew Vaughn calls, you say yes. But in addition to that, I was so excited to see not just how he makes his movie, not just how he shoots his action, assembles his cast. He's a filmmaker, but he's also a remarkable and prolific producer and an independent producer. And so he's one of a very small number of people who are making movies in a way that no one else is. It's the reason why this movie exists is because he made it independently and partnered with Apple and Universal, during production, which was great, and they've been incredible partners, but he had to take that initial risk. He is a risk taker.
Yeah.
And so just for me, I am very cautious in my life, very, very careful. I don't take risks in my work. That's where I take risks. And so getting to learn from Matthew, enter his vortex, go on that ride. I learned so much, and he was so inclusive with me. I can't even articulate how much he involved all of us,
Yeah.
all of us in just taking real ownership over our characters, or how we looked, how the production value, all of it.
Bryce has I wish I had more scenes with Henry. Maybe in the sequel I will.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of time with Bryce, and she has very hyper focus emotionally, especially. I remember us in a kitchen outside the parking garage at the Savoy. Remember that? We were you were prepping for that scene where we're running out of the hotel.
Totally.
And there's moments in a film that we think of when we watch the film where it's like a home movie for us, where we're kind of like, I'll look at that scene and I'll go, I remember us kind of like staying connected, and it's the same thing with on the train with Henry, and belly laughing. It's like you have these memories of I just remember us in that kitchen kind of like trying to stay focused.
Oh, yes.
And keep our eyes on the prize, and it's hard to explain, but it's kind of like when you watch a movie, sometimes it's like a home movie for the actor. It's kind of a memory of each scene, and each scene you have a little memory.
I'm pretty sure those happy memories we have on the set of Matthew Vaughn's movie set will transcend to the global audience, and
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we will have a sequel.
I didn't say happy.
Oh, sorry. Okay. It was a mistake.
Most of them are pretty happy.
They
We will
were
feel
happy.
something. Yeah,
Challenging, happy.
we will be happy, and I'm pretty sure this will be a big hit globally. So I'm pretty sure we'll meet soon with the sequel. So hope you guys have a good time in Korea.
Thank
Thank
you.
And
you.
hope
Thank
this
you so
will be
much.
great. And before I just say goodbye, I'm sorry to both of you, but can I know it's unprofessional, but I just wanted to say personal things to Bryce before I go, because my very first English interview with Hollywood stars was with you and Chris Pratt for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom in Shanghai 2017. And literally, it was your gentle, sweet response to what I say during the interview that kept me going with that nerve-wracking situation. And you helped me become who I am today. 7 years later, I'm still doing this, meeting more Hollywood stars.
That's
So
very beautiful.
I really wanted to say thank you should the occasion arrive.
That means the world to me. During this entire interview, I've been thinking, wow, he is so gifted. You are so gifted at what you do. Like, just, this is not an easy movie to talk about because there are so many twists and turns. And just thank you so much for this interview and your work, and I hope to get to work with you many, many, many times in the future.
Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
the same for all three of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Have a
your
good
sweater.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you for the sweater,
I
yes.
mentioned symbols.
Yes,
actually.
Yes, and I'll pass that along to Chris too. That'll mean a lot to him.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a great time.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you.
much.
네, 그렇게 스윗하고 멋졌던 아가일의 주연 배우들과의 대화가 끝났고요. 감사하게도 사진을 찍어도 된다고 허락해 주셔서 함께 사진까지 남기게 되었습니다. 다시 봐도 참 좋은 분들이죠. 이 배우들이 출연하는 영화 아가일은 2월 7일 개봉을 앞두고 있으니까요. 궁금하신 분들은 극장에서 아가일 꼭 확인해 보세요. 그럼 저는 이쯤에서 인사드리도록 하겠습니다. 영상 재밌게 보셨다면 구독해 주시고 영상 좋아요 눌러주시고 댓글 다는 거 잊지 말아 주시고요. 저는 다음번 다른 영상으로 돌아오도록 하겠습니다. 지금까지 전 천재이승국의 이승국이었습니다. 감사합니다. 바이바이.